Happy Halloween, guys. We here at Media Tsunami are going to be talking about our favorite zombie movies today. Pretty broad category to go off on, lots of good entries, so let's see what we've got. Josh, why don't you kick us off?
28 days later and 28 weeks later were two great films. They all started with monkeys.
That's all great movies too.
It did.
2001: Space Odyssey.
Disease-ridden monkeys tested on. So England had been taken over in the second, and hopefully 28 months or years will start to be produced, but they were faster.
Mm-hmm.
There was some intelligence, very little, but it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Scotty?
Well, just to kind of go off on that one. Which one did you like better?
Days.
You like Days better?
Days
Okay. Why did you like Days better? I'm
Way more
opposite in that
focused on a group of people.
Okay.
As opposed to like the country.
Right.
Well, I'm probably with Matt on this one. I think we both really like Weeks better.
I'm with you guys too.
Yeah.
I just feel like for me personally, I like the whole like mass scale world freak out kind of thing going on that, they think they've stopped it and then it comes back. And it seems like on a bigger scale, and I like it a lot more. I also just felt like it was, the characters themselves, I like them better. And just the plot line was more developed, and then some of the scenes were just stuck with me a lot more than Days. You know, I watched 28 Days once and was like, I don't really need to watch that again. But I've seen 28 Weeks multiple times, and I love that movie.
One part in Weeks that I particularly like, and kind of goes along with what you were talking about, how they're smart, is it's kind of a spoilerish, but there's a scene where one zombie like uses a key or something to get into a room full of people, and they're just kind of staring at him for a second, and you're like, oh gosh, this is not going to get in well. And I'm pretty sure everybody in the room just about gets absolutely slaughtered. But yeah, what you were talking about, I like a lot too. Like, they know what the threat is, but okay, yeah, cool, we're quarantined off, we don't need to worry about it anymore. So when the threat re-arises, they're like, oh crap, so panic ensues once more, as there's no like, what's going on? Should I touch this guy, see what happens? Oh crap, he bit me, kind of thing. Like, they know instinctively this is not good. Mm-hmm. Also, point out that if bat zombies ever happen, I'm done. I'm screwed. I'm in trouble. So
cardio. Rule number one.
And let me take this second to plainly say to the person out there who's watching and saying, "No, actually, that is an infection movie." To you, sir or ma'am, shut up. An infection movie is a zombie movie.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, it's almost the same thing. Close enough.
It is the same.
It affects a large population, and it affects them in an adverse way and makes them kind of mindless and one-track mind.
And they're biting other people.
Infecting.
And when they bite other people, they end up like them.
Yeah.
It's a zombie movie.
I mean, if you want to get technical, I mean, how many movies actually use the phrase zombie, especially like modern ones? So you could kind of apply that to a broad range. One in particular I'm thinking of, and I know you're going to jump right on this one. I'm going to talk about Quarantine for a second. I know it's a remake of one of your favorites you'll get into in a second, but that movie I thought was kind of neat because they're not really zombies, so you can tell me to shut up now if you want to, but
shut up.
Yeah. But like the people are trapped in like I think they're like an apartment complex or something, and everybody around them is starting to change, and so like I think they've got someone like chained up in a basement. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm probably wrong on some of these things.
Well, yeah. Well, I love the Quarantine style though, because they do it's the shot from camera style film.
Like a handheld.
But I like it because it's not like some of the other ones where it's like all shaky and you can't know what's going on the whole way. It's actually fairly steady and well done.
Well, it's like a professional TV.
Yeah. So I guess they know what they're doing. It's not like a little hand camera.
But Quarantine 2 was on handheld shaky cam because it was airplane, airport, hangar related kind of thing. But I liked that one almost even more because it's even, gotta love the bottle episodes. I mean, like, it's even more of a bottle because you're in like one or two places and you can't go anywhere, and they've quarantined them in these places. I quite enjoyed that because it's hard to find a movie that can make one or two places very interesting.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's not really spoilers, just kind of fun. My favorite part of the first film is where there's a zombie laying on the ground and the guy with the camera goes,
Oh yeah, like,
and beats it in the face with his camera.
Yeah, that's great.
It's great. So, kind of had a little comedy to like, oh, okay, I can take a breather and laugh at that for a second. So it's kind of fun.
So going off of that, John, does that actually relate to your favorite zombie movie?
Oh, what, Wreck?
Yeah.
Oh, Quarantine is almost the shot-for-shot remake of Wreck.
But is Wreck your favorite zombie movie?
Oh, it's hard to go over some of the Romero stuff, but it is. I think Wreck stands out more as, to me, not necessarily just a genre movie of being zombie, but I think Wreck was just really well done. Like, even though I say it's almost shot for shot, there are differences, and I think the creepy moments they did better in Wreck than they were in Quarantine. Like when they first show up to that lady's house, where the first time you really see one of them, when they walk into the lady's apartment, and I think they did that like a lot better.
Her noises were crazy.
Yeah.
Like she was just like gurgly breathing. Oh, that was so creepy to me.
Yeah, and then at the end, like the creature, the final thing that they find, like in the attic area, was like looked way weirder and more surreal than the one that they had in Quarantine. There's something about it, and that movie I loved when I first saw it. And then you've seen all four, right, Josh?
Well,
I didn't know there were four. Wow.
Yeah.
You have two?
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh was telling me they're on Netflix. I watched the third one. I've yet to watch the fourth one yet.
Those two a camera point of view. The second was more like a generic film, Hollywood produced, high budget, but they were good. But they strayed really far from the disease and went into the religion, then went into a parasite. And it just cut off. It's like, oh.
That's what annoyed me about the second Wreck movie. It like went from like the infection zombie thing, now it's like possession. I guess they kind of touched on it at the end of the first one.
Ever so vaguely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have guessed it as like a run of a sequel to the film. You would have never thought it. Thunk it.
Well, you were talking about comical moments, like bashing the head in with the camera. One of the favorite of mine is Shaun of the Dead. I love Shaun of the Dead. And you can say, oh, well, that's a comedy all you want, but it is a legit zombie movie.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me otherwise. I love that movie. And it's basically, I love that they did a dark comedy because, like, I feel like that would probably be like what we did in the zombie apocalypse. Like, we would be like, okay, so I guess this is what we're doing. And we would just deal with it. But it was, I love it. I love Simon Pegg. It's just one of my favorites. And you laugh a lot because there are these nods to like Romero, and it's awesome. Like the scene where, the opening scene where Sean gets up in the morning and he's like staggering into the living room, and he's like, like yawning, and you're like, wow, we're gonna start out with a zombie, and then like
it's Simon Pegg.
Yes, it is a zombie, just a different kind. Like he's just like, a working man, like, doing the same thing over and over every day. Even so much so that he goes out the morning of the outbreak and does the same thing he always does, and like doesn't notice anything on his way home that's different until he gets home and like things start happening, and I love that.
That's my favorite part, is when he's walking through the town doing his normal routine.
Yeah.
Everybody's clueless.
People behind him are getting eaten, like getting their limbs ripped off, and he's just like going into the store and he nearly slips on the blood.
Yeah. And it's great. Like, I mean, like, he does notice some things, but he's just like, oh, that's weird. And brushes it off. And I kind of feel like they were kind of touching on like society today, like being like, yeah, I'm getting kind of deep, I'm sorry. But, like, we kind of do our own things and go through our days and don't really pay attention to everything around us all the time. But I really enjoy that movie. It's funny. It drops the F-bomb every other word, and that kind of bothers me sometimes, but it's all good. But I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, in the same vein, Zombieland's the same way. I love Zombieland.
Zombieland's also great.
It's another legit dark comedy zombie movie, but those are two of my favorite ones.
Speaking of Zombieland, zombie apocalypse, what food item are you looking for the most?
Oh gosh.
Everybody knows
Right.
ding dongs are better than Twinkies.
True
We could
story,
get a
true
whole
story.
video on that, but we're not going to do that here.
Ding dongs are great.
Yeah.
That's
But-
true.
I'd
Yeah.
probably be looking for like a Snickers bar or something, you know?
Gummy bears?
There are Oreos.
I don't
There's some Oreos.
Oh.
Right. Is that
You'd be
gonna go
looking for
out?
ice cream and you would not.
Oh, it would all melt.
Just barely.
You guys don't understand.
All the ice cream would
You
melt.
guys don't understand.
But going along the whole like Romero style, you know, you said they had some throwbacks to Romero. My favorite zombie movie probably is Dawn of the Dead. Probably the remake though, because I really like the remake of Dawn of the Dead
Remake too.
that they did. First time I watched that, I actually hadn't seen the original Dawn of the Dead at that point in time, but I watched the remake first, and it's something about having all these people just trapped together in the mall, and then they're like on the snapping point of nearly killing each other at
personality
many
clash,
points in time, you know, and someone gets bitten and they just immediately want to kill them, you know, and the other people are like, no, we don't know anything about this yet. And just like watching all these people try and figure out what's going on, but also like just in full panic mode too at the same time is pretty crazy. So I thought that was pretty great. And then just the way it ends, like, gets me every time because I'm like, oh, great, they're gonna all be safe, you know, and all these things. And then, you know, they show like in the ending credits, like where they think is the safest place. There's zombies there too, you know.
It never truly ends.
And so yeah, and so
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Going back to the original classic there, so.
plus I just love when they sit on the roof and they do things with the guy across the way.
Plays chess with
the
him,
gun shop. They
yeah.
play chess and they do all these things to pass the time just because there's zombies completely surrounding them and there's no way out. And so I just love that movie because it's so. There's a whole lot of despair in that movie, but it's still really exciting and full of action. And I really enjoy that one a lot.
That one actually, yeah. If I were to tell you, hey, this is probably my favorite movie or zombie movie, that might be the one I default to. 28 Weeks Later is up there as well. Just to kind of one more thing to touch on the Dawn of the Dead, I like the part where they send the dog through the big massive zombies because the guy on the other roof is like starving, can't don't have any food, so they're like, let's send dog with food over to him. I can't remember if that ends well or not. I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
One of the zombies grabs the door and holds it open.
Yeah,
the sneak.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good movie. Does that one lead into any other? Like I know, like Land of the Dead stuff came after that one.
No,
But,
that's because Land of the Dead was Romero.
right.
Like the Dawn of the Dead remake was Zack Snyder, and it was done in 2004. I think that was the first zombie movie where the zombies were fast.
Yes. Oh gosh.
And because 28 Days wasn't that after.
It was. Yeah, I think so.
So I think that was the first. That's the first one I know of. It was the first time I saw it, and like that. And I loved the remake. I saw it in theaters, and I was sold on zombie movies at that moment. I saw it before I saw. Up to that point, I'd only seen like on TV, Night of the Living Dead, and so like that was my only idea of zombies was the black and white, slow stumbling thing. And so from that to the Dawn of the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, that was a big jump.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Like we're shuffling. I guess we kind of shift into the original Night of the Living Dead. A fun little story here. I saw that movie for the first time when I was probably about 5 years old. My uncles are not very nice, and they were like, "Let's watch Brave Little Toaster or something," and I'd be like, "Oh boy!" Like here, let's sit down. You can sit in my lap, and holding me down, let's pop into Night of the Living Dead and watch these people get eaten. And it's probably why I'm the charming, witty, awesome person I am today, productive member of society. But
right?
huh?
What? Okay.
Did you say Night of the Living Bread? That parody is hilarious.
It's like
check it out.
It's 5 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. It's pretty great. But I almost I quote the whole "They're coming to get you, Holly."
Stop it now, I mean it. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Anytime we pass cows. So, because she doesn't like them and thinks they're scary for some reason, so they're all going to get you, Holly.
It's the complete opposite of my wife. She loves cows. She's like, oh, can we pull over and look at them?
It's irrational, I know.
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead is probably the most horrifying of all the zombie movies ever made. Because its day and time, there was blood, there was nudity, there was gore, there was child killing, parent killing children, and that's all common today, even in the new remakes. It's bad, but then that was unfathomable.
Yeah, you didn't expect.
Nothing was on that level with those zombie movies. Nothing. And you can ask the two historians here who've seen every black and white horror movie they made. There's nothing quite like it. It probably ruined. There was a set of laws. There was a set of laws that you could not violate when making films, and it probably ruined it in the '60s.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what. I think this movie was in the '60s.
Yeah,
and
I believe
'50s.
so.
This could have easily destroyed that entire mindset and said, okay, it's free game from now on.
Right.
The ending of that movie is the best. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when the bud and everyone after they shot the. Yeah.
Well, like the survivor, he's like looking out the window, gonna get help. He thinks like they're coming to save him, and they're just in the mindset now of they're just killing everything that they see walking, and so he gets shot.
Yeah.
Like he ended up surviving the whole zombie thing. Here comes the people he thinks is gonna save him.
And he survives like the most impossible situation too. Like you've had 40, 50 years to watch it, so I'm going to spoil it.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're okay spoiling this.
But like the whole movie, this guy, like he's kind of the main guy. He is insistent on let's not go down to the basement because that leads one way out. If they get in, we're in trouble. And it's kind of like with Dawn of the Dead. Like there's clashing personalities there. This one guy whose family, like his daughter's sick. Wonder what's gonna happen with her. He's like, we'll be safer down there, and the whole they even get into like a fight, like a physical fight over it. And he's like, we're not doing it. At the end, the zombies bust into the house, kill everybody else, and he's like, well, only place I can go is the basement. So he hides out in the basement. It's kind of fun. Oh man. All the best lines I think from that movie come from the main girl who is delusional and she's completely helpless the entire
hysterical.
Movie. Yeah,
hysterical.
But Johnny's got keys and he's like, can you help me? Can you do anything useful? And she's like, no. Johnny's got the keys. And I'm like, come on.
They remade that movie.
Oh yeah?
They really did in color, and everything's pretty much the same except one difference. The crazy woman, the hysterical Barbara, shot I believe the main antagonist died, and she was left alive, and then the crazy man who locked the basement in the first one, he's alive. He went down there. She didn't, but she remained alive. And when he came up, he shot him. She shot him, and that was the only twist in the entire story. Yeah.
If for whatever reason you haven't seen this movie, it came out before. It doesn't have any kind of infringement with YouTube, and I think you can watch the entire thing on there still. So definitely worth a check out.
That's in the public domain.
Yeah. So it's definitely one worth watching. It was. I mean, there were zombie movies that came out before that, but it was really I think
White zombie.
But it's like the iconic first.
Yeah,
real
it
zombie
was
movie.
Different zombie, they had the voodoo type zombie type thing. This was like everything we know now is based off of George Romero's version, which there's a picture of me with George Romero.
Let's say you met him once, yeah.
Well, and I know I'm gonna veer off movies a little bit, but Romero opened a door to all kinds of media, zombies. I mean, graphic novels like The Walking Dead. I love that graphic novel. I read that before the TV show ever thought about being a thing, because one of my friends was like, hey Holly, you like zombie movies, you should check out this graphic novel. And I was like, cool. So I got the first 3 volumes and read them like that, and was like, I need more. And then The Walking Dead TV show came out, and that's awesome.
Took it a little while to get going, but
but it's good. and it's pervasive in pop culture now. And like you said, that there was an era of slasher movies earlier, or in our other video that we did, but like now it seems like this is an era of zombie movies and zombie like media in general. So
what's kind of fun is like zombies never really truly die off. It seems like that genre has kind of resurfaced time and again. Like it was really big in like the 60s and 70s with your Romero films, and then I think movies like the Dawn of the Dead remake and Shaun of the Dead kind of regenerated interest in the genre, and now it's all over the place. TV shows, books.
Also getting about one franchise, Resident Evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to get into that one
Video
too.
game, big movie.
Video games are infinitely better than the movies, but the movies are pretty good too. So
I don't know about that the same as it was.
the first one's good.
first one's good.
I like the first one, and the
But
first
movies or the games?
The movies.
the movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, the games is a whole nother ball game. But we like the second movie. I think the first half of it's really good, and then when they kind of get into the whole we're fighting the tyrant, like big zombie with a gun arm thing, kind of that's okay. But have you guys all seen the second
You
film?
never played
The
Resident
one scene in that movie that particularly stands out to me is like I think she's like a reporter like lady walks into a room full of like children, and she's like, "Hello, children, you know, we're all gonna be safe," and they all turn around and you're like, we knew they were zombies, but it's still like she gonna die. So,
Well, I think the scariest part about Resident Evil, the second film, for me was when they added all the dogs in. You know,
Yes.
the dogs that chase them around. Is it a school that they're in?
I
or
think
that
so.
thing? And that's, I don't know, that always kind of scared me because like zombie dogs. So not only, you know, are the zombies in that fast, but the dogs are even faster.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're vicious and willing to tear them apart.
and
It's
they even they look terrifying.
Yeah.
Like they look like they don't have any skin or anything.
Mhm.
So they just look scary. All right. So thinking about all these zombie movies that we've been talking about, what are some scenes in zombie movies that you've seen like that really stick out with you? Like either zombies getting killed in a cool way or them tearing someone apart or.
So I have two specifically that come to my mind. One going back to my favorite zombie movie, Dawn of the Dead, the remake. It's just I guess is it the lady that gets infected, that she's in that room and she like has the fight out with the guy that's trying to shoot her or whatever. Like I guess she's the big fat lady, isn't she? She's like really fat. Like that
She
whole
looks
scene
like a
is
zombie
just,
before she ever got in there.
it's just so gruesome. Like that scene it's kind of sticks with me because of how gruesome she looks.
Yeah.
And then the other scene that really stands out to me, best scene wise, is back to Holly's favorite, Shaun of the Dead. The scene where they pull that guy out of the window and just like rip him apart. They're like pulling his innards out, and just that scene is so just gruesome that it sticks with me the whole time. You know, I almost have to turn away while watching that part of the film, just because I mean they start pulling his innards out, and that it's really gross. And then it kind of goes to the comedy side of things when his legs like just come off. So they kind of do a really good job of making it super gruesome, but then like adding the comedy effect of here's his leg. So those are the two scenes that stick with me.
Of gruesome ones with that, I don't remember a whole lot about it, but have you ever seen The Return of the Living Dead?
I think I've seen that one.
I just remember that one being like super, pretty gruesome, gory, like gross stuff happening. I don't remember anything specific, but that like, and one of my favorite kill scenes from a zombie is, I don't care for this movie overall, but it was the fourth Romero one, Land of the Dead, and it's when it looks like a headless zombie is coming up to this guy, and it like flicks its head, and like it's like attached by like spinal cord or something, and like just it bites him with the top half of the head that comes flying up. That was like so unexpected. See that coming?
By any means possible, right? So.
Yeah, there's two other after that he did. He did Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead.
Those two mesh, right?
Yeah, they kind of bleed over, and they take characters and they kind of bleed over into the other one.
Yeah.
But there's a death scene in Survival of the Dead where I think it's a flare he sticks in the zombie's mouth, and like his head just catches on fire.
Yes.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty fun.
My favorite scene from a zombie movie is also from Dawn of the Dead, the remake, where you kind of touched on this earlier. They're up on the roof and they're playing the game with the whiteboards with the guy across the way, and the guy says, like they write on the board who they want each to kill, and one of them's like Rosie O'Donnell, and it's like the camera pans to like the crowd of zombies, and they're like, yeah, there's Rosie O'Donnell right there. Like there's like all. I like the comedy. It like relieves tension for me, because if not, when I watch scary movies, I usually watch them like this or like this. So those things are good for me to like take a breath, take a laugh, and get on with the movie. But that was one of my favorite scenes, and also in 28 weeks later, actually, no, it's 28 days later. When he first runs into an infected zombie, he and it just flat runs at him, and he's like, "What is going on?" And he just takes off running. Like that is always that's terrifying to me, because he's not seen anyone, and then all of a sudden he sees this guy, and he's like, "This guy's gonna kill me," and he's running at me really fast. And then later in the movie, the scene where he's just being chased after by a horde of zombies, that's just terrifying to me, because I would be on my face, or I don't know, I'd get eaten.
Shoot, I do.
Yeah.
I hear you there. I've got a few kind of going along with your Shaun of the Dead one. Back to Night of the Living Dead, when the zombies finally break into the house again. It's been out forever, so spoilers for you. And they're like, "Oh no, there's only 2 of them left." And at the beginning of the movie, when I think Barbara is her name, she and her brother show up, and they're at a gravesite, and he disappears. He gets in a fight with a zombie and disappears. Well, at the end of the movie, you see him come through the door, and she's so, oh my gosh, she can't do anything, and they drag her out the window, but you don't see what's going on. It kind of leads you to oh gosh, imagining being in the middle of this crowd that's just pulling you apart and stuff. And which leads me into my next one. It's a little spoilerish, but possibly the most gruesome zombie death I've ever seen was actually on last season of Walking Dead. Yes.
Was that season 6?
Season 5. A couple of the characters are stuck in a revolving door, and there's 2 of the good group guys that we like, and there's another guy on the opposite side that we don't like very much, and he pushes his way out, which allows the zombies to get to the guy in the back, and they pull him back, and you're like, oh snap, it's going to be kind of the same situation, we're not going to see what's going on. Well, then they throw him back up against the revolving door, so the other guy's watching him literally get pulled apart.
So
fish hook, and his face is just kind of coming away, and you're like, it's horrifying because you're watching it. And then the last one I want to bring up is, or actually there's 2 more, sorry.
Zombie. Is that season 2?
It's the most anticlimactic thing. They spend the whole episode trying to get him out, and then, well, there goes our water supply. So, and 28 days later, what happens to, I don't know what his actor's name is, so I'm going to call him Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter. How he gets his magical eye is he looks up and a drop of blood falls in his eye and it turns him into a zombie. So it's kind of strange. It's he didn't get bit, he didn't get scratched or anything. It's just how many other things you have to watch out for. But another one that's kind of freaky to me is in Weeks. How I'm spoiling this. Sorry, it's too good to pass up. Is how the infection starts. This guy finds his wife who has been living out in the quarantined area, but she's not infected. She just has the symptoms for it.
She's a
carrier.
She's infected.
Right, but she's not a zombie.
Right,
and
symptoms.
Yeah, and he's and they've got her strapped down to a chair, so they can run tests on her and stuff. But he's so overwhelmed and excited that he's like, "I'm gonna kiss you because you're my wife," which transfers it to him. He turns into a zombie and proceeds to just completely decimate her, but she can't do anything. She's strapped down, and that's
my
horrifying.
wife gets so upset about that whole thing. First of all, she never can remember the movie. She always says, "What's that one movie with the fast zombies?" And she's always talking about 28 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I always know, but she never can remember the name. And every time we watch that movie, she will pause it at the part where he leaves his wife in that room.
At the very beginning.
She pauses it to then discuss with me about how I would never do that to her. every time.
You would never do
Fast
that.
zombies? There's no way either of us are making it out of that room.
That's true. That's very true.
I'll be like, here, eat me first, and then you'll be like, crap, there's no way out. So, because they're fast and they're smart.
Josh, what do you got?
They both involve projectiles, and one movie many people liked about Day of the Dead. Under the military installation, it was more dark, it wasn't as open, it was like dawn, but even more cramped. And there's just a lot of swearing, negativity. It was just a film that makes you depressed, but there's a doctor training a zombie, and I forgot what they call them, Busby? I never saw a Fido, and I always want to call it
Fido's good.
I've always wanted to see it, but I always call the zombie Fido. The point is, in the end, he picks up a gun, and he's former military, and the baddest of the guys is running from him, and the zombie shoots him. The next scene I was going to mention, Scott stole it from me, it's Sean, but this is the funniest death scene I've ever seen. It's when, I forgot what the names are in Shaun of the Dead. There's two zombies in the backyard. They open the window, there they are, and they're just throwing random things at it.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do, but then they throw a vinyl record, and it impacts, and it's not the idea that, hey, we damaged it, it's, hey, let's go get the rest of the vinyl record to throw it. Going off what Holly said earlier, it's like that one-track mind, like, we found that one thing that can save humanity. Let's not discuss which ones we're going to keep, which ones we're not going to throw.
And it's the best when they're going through and he's like, how about this one? He's like, I like that album. Okay.
Mine doesn't matter as much as that album. And that was the two more notable death scenes I recall that none of you have brought up.
Yeah, that is a good one. I mean, you gotta kind of think about that too. Like, would you, like, if some lumbering, undead person walked at you, we would know because we've seen so many zombie movies and stuff, just instinctively go for the head no matter what. So if you're acting crazy or like you're gonna kill me, go for your head. But how would they know what to do? So
it was on the news, Matt. They knew. And those zombies,
they weren't paying attention. Weren't you paying attention earlier?
They were the slowest zombies in history.
Yeah,
we went to Dead Space. There's a lot more deaths than that. Dead Space, the movies, not the games.
Oh, okay.
The movies.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of those.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I guess that wraps us up for zombies, huh?
Nothing. Alright, well, hope you guys enjoyed this one, our little rant about zombie movies. Pretty good category. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you later.
Brain.
You've probably heard this before. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
10 tickles.
I actually sent him.
Yeah, she did. I was like,
that's
that's actually pretty good. That's pretty funny.
Hear that one, John?
10 tickles.
10 tickles.
Tickles.